They told me death was the end. I was a neurosurgeon, a man of science. I taught my students that when the brain shuts down, the lights go out. I was certain that God was just a coping mechanism for the weak. I was wrong. On a rainy Tuesday, I died. And what I saw on the other side didn't just break my arrogance. It rewrote the laws of physics. I saw the architecture of the universe, and I learned that God isn't a man. God is a frequency. But before I tell you the message I was sent back to deliver, you need to understand the man I was. Because if you think you are a skeptic, I was much worse. I didn't feel pain when the truck hit my sedan on Interstate 95. I didn't feel fear. I felt mathematics. I was a man of facts. 30 years, looking inside open human brains on the operating table. I held human consciousness in my hands. To me, you, your memories, your love for your wife, your faith, all of that was nothing more than electricity firing between neurons. When the brain dies, you turn off. End of story. At least, that's what I taught at Harvard for 2 decades. But on that night, the electricity in my brain stopped. Clinically, I was dead. If you are watching this and wondering if there is anything more after we take our last breath, stay with me, because the answer I found is not in a religious book. It's in the vibration of the cosmos itself. The first thing I noticed was the silence. That deafening noise of metal tearing metal had vanished instantly. Suddenly, I was floating, 3, maybe 4 meters above the asphalt. The rain was falling, but it didn't get me wet. The drops passed through my form as if I were made of smoke I looked on. I saw a wrecked car. I saw paramedics cutting the driver's door. And I saw a man inside, blood on his suit, neck at an unnatural angle. It took me a few seconds to understand. That man was me. As a doctor, my first instinct was to triage. Dialis, no pulse? That man is dead. But the thought didn't come with panic. It came with a cold curiosity. If my brain is down there, crushed against the steering wheel, who is formulating these thoughts up here? I tried to scream to the firefighters, but no voice came out. I was a radio frequency they couldn't tune into. Then, gravity inverted. The physical world, the world of hard matter I defended so much, was coming undone. I was moving fast, faster than light. There was a sound, a low hum, like a cosmic ohm, multiplied by 1,000. It vibrated in my essence. I entered a place of total darkness. But was Velvica Cosmicum. As a scientist, I always sought the theory of everything. In that void, I realized how limited we were. We try to understand the universe with human math, but the universe isn't made of numbers. It is made of music. It is hard to describe the peace of this darkness. It was the absence of all worry. If you've ever felt a moment of pure silence, where your burdens just lifted, you know a fraction of this feeling. The hum increased. It became a melody, and the darkness tore open. It wasn't just a light, it was a living landscape. I saw a gold that breathed, a blue that radiated love. Everything around me was geometry. Flowers that were perfect fractals, spinning in Fibonacci spirals, but made of pure light. That's when he appeared, not an old man with a beard. Forget the paintings. What approached me was a concentration of energy so pure, so bright, that if I had a physical body, I would have been vaporized. But I didn't feel fear. I felt home. I felt a love so overwhelming, so unconditional, that it made me cry without tears. Imagine the love of all the mothers in the world, concentrated into a single laser, beam pointed at your chest. That was it. If this description of love brings you any comfort, or if you simply need to hear this today, I invite you to like this video. It helps this message of hope reach others who might be grieving or afraid. He didn't speak with words. The communication was telepathic. And the message wasn't you were good or you were bad. The message was a question. What have you learned about love? The being of light touched my consciousness. And suddenly, The universe opened up to me. I saw that everything is vibration. I saw that every thought I ever had emitted a frequency. Hate is a low, slow, dense frequency. It looks like mud. Love is a super high, fast frequency, clear as crystal. The entity showed me that what we call God is the fundamental frequency. It is the sound that keeps atoms spinning. Without this vibration of love, matter would unravel. I saw my life flash in an instant. I relived every moment. When I humiliated a student in 1998, I felt his humiliation. I felt his pain in my chest. I felt the ripple effect of my ego. But I also felt the time I held a dying patient's hand. I felt the peace I gave her. It is a terrifying thing, the life review. You cannot lie to the light. It makes you wonder. If you had to review your life today, right now, what moment would you want to change? It's a heavy question. I pleaded, don't send me back. I'm tired, the being radiated compassion, but the answer was firm, you have work to do. You must tell them that death is not the end. It is simply waking up. I said no, but the pull was irresistible. It felt like being sucked through a straw. A sensation of compression, slam. The pain hit me like a sledgehammer. The cold, the weight of gravity, the smell of antiseptic. I opened my eyes. A nurse screamed, "He's back. Doctor, he's back." My heart had stopped for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Tears rolled down my face. Not because of the pain, but because I had left home. I was back in the box. It took me 6 months to walk again. It took me 2 years to return to surgery. But the doctor who returned wasn't the same man. I no longer see patients as biological machines. I see them as souls temporarily, inhabiting a carbon suit. My colleagues say it was a hallucination caused by DMT. I smile. I don't argue anymore, because hallucinations don't reveal the future. The entity showed me I would have a grandson. Last week, my daughter called to say she is pregnant. I know what I saw. Death is not a wall, it's a door. And our only job here is to tune our frequency to love. Thank you for letting me share my story. It's not easy for a scientist to admit he was wrong, but I hope my mistake brings you peace. If you have your own story, or a question about what I saw, please leave it in the comments. I try to read as many as I can. And if you want to explore more stories about the mysteries of our existence, consider subscribing. We are all just walking each other home.